Japan,
Japan
2024.
2024. Yes, because we did cover Japan 2023, I
We
think.
sure did.
I think we were doing the podcast at that
Yep,
point.
we did.
We'll have to come up with a snappy new title this time.
Yes,
Be exciting.
of course. That was one of our early episodes.
Yep.
And they moved Japan to an earlier race in the season to
Yep.
try and avoid torrential downpours.
And it seems to have worked.
It seems to have worked quite well.
Pretty clear weather for the most part,
Mhm.
except for, one practice session?
Yes.
So, yeah.
They
Japan.
also moved it to cherry blossom time,
Oh, lovely.
which is fantastic.
That's just gorgeous.
You gotta
People
love it.
that.
You gotta wonder why they didn't just always do that.
Yeah, it seems like the right time of year to be there.
A lot of the backdrops were cherry blossoms, like the
And
backgrounds. It was
basically,
really
the
nice.
only reason I thought the other reason they did this was it was part of their big scheme to save on jet fuel,
Probably.
so that it's like closer, because it was Australia
yeah.
last, fly up to Japan,
Mm-hmm.
and now they're gonna fly over to China, which is also close
That's
by.
true.
That's also in Asia. For those of our viewers that don't know,
Geography.
yeah, geography. So
There's enough people out there that don't understand basic geography,
yeah,
which
I
is
mean,
okay.
I would hope most people know that Japan is at least close to China, but they might not.
They might not.
So,
We're not here to judge. We're here to educate.
yeah,
We're here to help.
we are here to help. Speaking of
educate-
China, actually,
Speaking of re-education, yeah?
I need to get into this. This is not Formula One related,
What do we
but
got?
I have to rant about it to
What do
somebody,
we
and it's
got?
been driving me nuts.
Uh-huh.
So, I took a lot of courses on Chinese history, right? Especially like modern Chinese history.
Humble brag, but okay. Yes.
So, one of my courses that I had, we had to read novels as part of the course.
Right.
That was a big part of it. We had to read novels by Chinese authors, and one of the novels that I read was The Three Body Problem. This was a very good book that has now just recently been made into a Netflix adaptation.
Yes.
I have never been angrier in recent memory than watching the first episode.
My brother told me about the three body problem and said that I should watch it.
Okay. Oh my goodness, I'm so angry. I'm so angry.
Furious.
They are so scared of China. The directors are scared of China.
Oh.
The writers are terrible. They took what was an amazing book, probably one of
Yeah.
the best I've literally ever read,
Yeah.
and they were like, what if all of these characters that were Chinese originally, and what if this setting that was in China, and what if all of these people that had all this cultural significance were now British? They're like, what if, in fact, we start adding relationship subplots into the mix as well? And maybe, instead of it just being a cool sci-fi book, which is really also partially a book about the Cultural Revolution in China, we just make it very as loosely tied to that as possible, and mainly make it about the environment.
Ooh.
And I was like,
So you're telling me they Drive to survived the three body problem?
I'm furious. The details that they chose to change, like, also, so one of the characters in the show is like this. I'm so mad. One of the characters in the show is this cop, right?
Yeah.
In the book, he is a normal street cop. Like, he's a detective, but like he's part of a normal precinct.
Yeah.
And like he's this detective in China. He's well known, but he's like a bit rough around the edges kind of guy. He's a very likable character because he's like very much like a people person. Like,
Down
he
to
knows
earth.
how to read people kind
Gotcha.
of thing, and he's like,
Yep.
and a lot of the book revolves around him interacting with all these scientists that are all a bit hoity-toity.
Okay.
And he's a very grounding character in it. But in this one, for I don't know what reason, they decided that he's actually a central like intelligence agent, and he's working for some like secret service organization now instead. And they already know within the first episode
He's a
that
super
there's
agent.
aliens attacking them, which was a big reveal in the book later on. So they within the
He knows
first
right away.
episode they know. And like they already have
I've made contact.
they already reveal one of the main villains in the first episode, which again was a big reveal later on, which is this guy that's like an environmental activist, but like it's more to it than that.
That's hilarious.
I was livid watching this. I just had to talk about it. It's not Formula One
The
related.
three-body problem
The
on
three-body
Netflix.
problem. I hate it.
Shame on you, Netflix.
Please read the book. Also, they just make old ladies say swear words for no reason that never would have in the book. It makes no sense. Like, the language they chose for characters to use is like,
Unbelievable.
why?
Well, now
Like, it's not bad that, or it's like not crazy, but it's just like there's no reason they need to be saying that in
they
this
took
scene.
complete creative liberties.
They were just like, you know what would make this character way more relatable? If they said mother effer after this sentence. That's like, oh my goodness. That's the way to do it. It's like, it was like an old lady, and she's like, another younger lady's talking to her, and she's like, oh, you look so pretty in this picture. And she's like, age is a mother effer. And it's like, why?
Just
You
as
didn't-
organic as possible.
You didn't need to write this in. It wasn't
Come on, man.
necessary.
Netflix knows how to make organic media. That's what they do.
Yeah.
They're not known to fabricate drama
Also,
or take creative liberties.
it's a show that has a video
That
game
dilute.
element to it. It's got a video game element to
Oh,
it, right?
no.
In the book, it's like this mass-produced video game.
Yeah.
People don't really know where it came from, but it just started circulating, and people were really pumped about it.
Okay.
And it's like totally fine. It's not like cringy at all. It's fine. But then for some reason, in this one, they're like, oh, where are these scientists getting these like special funky helmets from for this video game? I've never seen anything like this. And it's like not circulated at all. It's not mass produced. There's not a ton of people playing the game.
Just the science.
It's like just the scientists, apparently, by the sounds of the first episode,
like,
which
beep,
also
boop.
makes no sense because I can't say anything without actually spoiling it. I doubt you'll ever read the book. but,
I need to read the book.
I have a copy of it. I'd give it to you.
I would like
loved
to
it.
borrow that.
I will give
I
you
would
the
like to
copy
borrow
of the
that.
three-body problem.
Sounds very interesting.
I'm so mad though. I'm so
Sounds
mad.
very interesting.
I was excited for it. Even the cover artwork, like it had like a Chinese actor on it and everything, and I was like, did they actually get this right? The first scene, I was like, this is really accurate. I was kind of excited, and then they just like,
Boom.
oh my goodness, I'm so.
They
upset.
colonized it.
They colonized it. They really colonized
They colonized.
because they're just
the three-body
terrified
problem.
of China. And it was interesting too because like the author really put China as like a part of the world stage and the international community. Like they were all working together in it, and that was just intriguing in itself. The way that like China was viewing itself on the
Yeah.
international stage, it was all interesting. And then they were like, well, what if we just make everybody British? And it's not even that they're just British actors
And
like
it takes
playing
place
Chinese.
in
It's like
Britain?
it takes place in England now.
Because the people want the Brits.
So I don't even know who any of the characters are now because I read the book and I'm like, I don't know who the main character is. I don't know who this person is. I don't know who this person is. It
You
sucks.
sounded like kind of an elitist.
It sucks.
You're a book elitist.
I'm
Well,
a
I'm
book
sorry
elitist,
that you
okay?
don't like that.
So that's my tangent for
That's
the
your
day.
tangent. That's okay. I went
I-
off on subscriptions earlier on in our in season 1, and
I had to talk.
it
about
happens, you know. But here we are. Shall we begin with some fan mail
We shall.
after the rabid rants are over?
Yeah, the
which is
rants,
understandable.
The ranting, the raving.
It's understandable. I will borrow that book from you, though.
Yeah, I'll give it to you. It's a really good book.
But this is not the Drain Guys Book Club.
Could be.
This is the Drain. It could be. Maybe we'll have an offshoot. Maybe we'll have an offshoot. Here we go. Fan mail. You guys mentioned tear off in the last episode. Could you explain what that is for those of us that are unaware? Thanks. Sent while on the toilet.
Oh, that's a good spot. I do a lot of good thinking there.
That is a good spot.
Yeah. In the shower as well. I wish more phones
Never
were
at the same
waterproof.
time, though.
Well, yeah, I mean, you can't, like, you'd have to, like, lean out of the shower over
That'd
to
be
the
gross.
toilet.
That'd be
That's
gross.
just, nobody
We
wants to be
don't-
doing
no,
that. It's
you can't-
uncomfortable.
Yeah. Shower,
It's
toilet,
uncomfortable.
not cool.
I mean, you can always foot, like, waffle stomp it down the
Oh,
drain
gross.
kind of
No, stop. Stop. Oh, that's enough. That's enough. Oh, my. We might have to redact that. We might have to redact that.
It's just talking about
We'll see.
waffles
We'll
and
see.
stomping. It's not. really
Anyways,
interesting.
tear offs.
Yeah,
What is a tear off?
yeah. You want to take that away?
I can. A tear off is. I should have thought of this a little bit more.
Okay.
A tear off is a visor guard that comes in a pack that sits on top of the driver's visors. So at the beginning of the race, a lot of the times you'll see when the drivers are sitting there waiting for the lights to go out, you'll see little tags coming off the side of their visors, and they're like hanging out. That's a pack of tear-offs, and they'll have several. I don't know how many throughout the race.
Quite a few. I don't know how many
It could be 20,
exactly.
it could be 10. I'm not quite sure.
No
But
idea.
they come in packs, and as the race goes on, pieces of rubber or dirt will fly up and then stick to their visor and make it dirty so they can't see as well. So then they'll reach up and tear off a layer of
the
their
plastic.
visor protectant.
Yep.
And then as you see, again, on straights sometimes, you'll see drivers quick reach up and like grab and then tear, and then you'll see this little sheet of plastic go flying in the wind. So what we talked about last time was tear-offs can be, and lately have been a pretty big issue in the last couple of years,
Yeah.
interestingly enough.
Yeah, they keep getting caught in people's brake ducts.
Yep,
And
radiators.
Yeah, radiators.
They get sucked in, and then you have this piece of plastic blocking a cooling duct.
Yep.
Or it melting and then starting on fire. So
Yeah,
it,
so things
yeah,
overheat
lately.
and catch on fire.
yeah, it's probably because the racing's so much closer. Actually, that's definitely why.
It could be, yeah.
Yeah.
Racing's being a lot closer, so more stuff like when people rip off a tear off, it gets stuck in other people's cars right behind.
Yeah, because the
That's
gaps
probably-
were much larger
Yep.
before
Yep.
2022. So
But basically, it
Gotta be
acts
careful.
like a windshield, essentially,
Yes.
for the driver's helmet. So
Yes.
if anything gets on it, they can just tear that off. They have another layer
Clear view.
underneath, and yep, they can see clearly again.
Yep, they have some
So-
fantastic videos on F1's YouTube of drivers using tear-offs with the visor cam, or like with the helmet cam
Yep.
that's inside the helmet, and like you can't see a thing. It looks like it looks like bugs smudged on your windshield, but like times 20, and it's like black. And
Yep.
then they'll tear it off, and then you can see perfectly. So
Yeah. Rally racing
interesting.
has some really good videos of them as well, where they get like coated in layers of dust and they're just tearing off like tear off after
Yeah.
tear off kind of
Yeah.
thing. So
Yeah.
sometimes you see that in some rally competitions too.
some
Lots of
other
good
racing
videos.
series have tear-offs on the windshield.
Really?
Yes, like
Oh, I
in
didn't know
endurance
that.
racing. I don't know if they still do, but they used to.
Because they
Have
have actual
tear-off-
windshield wipers as well in those
Yes.
series usually.
Yeah, they have. They have had historically tear-offs on the windshield, so you'll see a mechanic grab it, like a whole, basically looks like a sheet off of the windshield, and it's a nice fresh.
I didn't know
Nice
that.
fresh
That's
start.
really interesting.
So yeah, so that is tear-offs.
That's tear-offs. Now, moving on from emails,
Tearing
because
off.
we only had the
We
one.
only had one.
Did you feel like there was any news items this week, really, that you wanted to cover? I gotta say, I feel like things have been slowing down. The first
Things
couple
have been
weeks were
slowing
really
down.
hot and heavy.
There
in
was
terms of
only one
news.
thing I wanted to talk about,
Yep.
news-wise, and it was speculation from Eddie Jordan, who used to be a team owner of an F1 team back in the day.
Yep.
In the 90s and 2000s.
Yep.
And he's fairly in the know. He's speculating
Yep.
that Carlos Sainz is going to go to Aston Martin, and we'll see
Really?
an all-Spanish Aston Martin team, and Lance Stroll is moving over to the World Endurance Championship.
No
That's what
way.
he's speculating.
Well, that's what we recommended.
That's
so
what we
clearly
recommended
Somebody,
in like our second episode.
so clearly somebody at Aston Martin is listening.
Somebody's
to us,
been listening.
okay?
They should hire Carlos Sainz, and again, you should hire us,
Yep.
Aston Martin.
Yeah, you should.
Lawrence,
Lawrence.
we're Canadians. Come on.
Canadians working with Canadians.
Exactly.
Open for business.
Open for open for business, but yes, closed for carbon. We don't want any of that.
No, we don't want that.
But we are
yeah.
open for business.
Business.
Unless your business has anything to do with moving things, buying things, or selling things,
well,
then it's not really as open for business, but it is what it is.
But we're open for business.
We're open for business. Most of F1's business is in Europe anyways.
Yeah, we could bring it more here. Why not? Canada. Let's bring it all to Canada.
We should have a race in Saskatoon.
We should have a race in Saskatoon.
F1 should have an oval race in Manitoba.
No elevation change.
Or have the craziest elevation change ever, and we'll have a race up in the Rockies.
That'd be wild.
That'd be
Having a
sick.
track in the Rockies.
That'd be sick. Think like Pikes Peak,
Ooh.
but a circuit.
That'd be so cool. Because
Yeah.
then it'd be like the Mexico race where it's like really
High altitude.
thin air
It'd
and
be so
different
fast, but so
conditions.
scary.
Oh my goodness, they should do that. Yeah.
Hire us.
Hire us. We've got lots of good ideas. F1, Aston
Yep.
Martin. This is a running gag that we won't give up on. Please
Never.
hire us.
Never. Please hire us.
Just as ideas people. We're great.
Yeah.
Lots of ideas.
Mm-hmm.
So
We'll do some implementation, but not that much.
Yeah.
Just enough.
Yeah.
But
No-
yeah, I think that was the only news item that I kind of heard of going into it, other than there was upgrades speculated, and then as we found out, they were delivered.
Yep.
As speculated,
Yep.
so it wasn't that crazy.
Yo, no, nothing terribly interesting news-wise. There was one, like, I'd consider it more news than not news that I wanted to talk about, and that would be Hamilton's press interviews after the race.
Yes.
Hamilton very quickly walked out of the press interviews that usually are mandatory for drivers to do after the race is complete. Basically, it was a bunch of people asking him if he was jealous of Ferrari's speed.
Yeah, one reporter was like, "Are you jealous of Ferrari's speed?"
And he said no.
He was like, "Do you have any better questions?"
Yeah, and he asked if you have any better questions, and the guy was like, "Oh, well," and then Hamilton walked away,
Mm-hmm.
and then somebody else asked him another kind of dumb question, and he just left.
Yeah.
He was like, "I'm not dealing with this today. This is just stupid."
Fair.
And honestly, yeah, I'm for it.
I've always been for drivers being able to respond in an appropriately dismissive way
Yep.
to questions like that
Yeah, they're just dumb questions that are trying to get like people riled up,
and
basically.
make drivers just feel bad.
Yeah, just create drama, get a reaction kind of thing. Like, what do you mean? Oh,
Like, are you jealous of Ferrari's pace?
like what do you think?
What do you
Obviously,
what do you
he
even mean?
Wants
He's going
the
there.
car to be faster that he's currently driving.
Yes.
Like, it's not like he's gonna sit there and be like, "Oh, wow, I wish I was moving to Ferrari this year instead."
Womp womp womp. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that is the mindset that won him 7 championships, was just self-pity.
Well,
Certainly.
yeah,
Certainly.
you know, that's how you win 7 world
That's
championships.
definitely how.
You just get really down in the dumps and go, "I'm so jealous of all these other teams."
Yeah, you dragged your heels and you kicked a stone in the parking lot, and that's why Max has 3.
Yeah.
You know,
That
he's
guy's
really
doing
picked,
that all the
his
time.
pouting has really picked up in the last couple of years.
Yeah, he's always just pouting
Majorly.
about who knows what. He's just like, "Oh, my brakes are sticky today.
My brakes are so
I
good.
can never win this
The car's so
race.
good.
I wish I was in the Ferrari that's behind me." It
But
would
yeah,
be
to
way better."
conclude, yeah, that was interesting, and that's completely fair.
Yeah.
Anytime a driver is ever kind of fired off at reporters, I'm usually like, yeah, it's pretty fair.
Reporters are pretty annoying sometimes.
They can be.
I mean,
They
we're
can be.
essentially reporters of sorts now, but
Reporters are reporters. I mean, we can be annoying too.
we could be annoying, yeah. Yeah. Who knows? We'll find that out. Maybe as we grow, we'll get a really bad dislike ratio on YouTube.
Maybe.
Really bad dislike ratio. People
Or
will
not.
hate us.
Really don't care.
Yeah, I mean, or we do, because you know what they say, like any publicity is good publicity.
Any publicity
so
is good
like,
publicity.
just
My dream is to have Lance Stroll sit right here.
I'd love that.
Sit right here. Wouldn't that
I'd
be
be-
crazy?
I'd be thrilled. I
that
would
be nuts?
genuinely be so pumped. I'd love to meet Lance.
I think-
I'm not like,
Yeah, I think
no joke.
after his F1 career, I'd want to have him here for the Maple Syrup Festival.
Yeah,
We could make an entire thing out of it.
Yeah, we could
film a bunch of stuff,
do a vlog style
And
interview,
then
walking
have-
around the Maple Syrup
and
Festival.
then have him sit in between us in my basement
Yeah.
on my couch.
do a quick like couple clips of us just cruising around the Maple Syrup Festival, and then it just
Bop.
switches to a shot of us just taking a seat.
Taking a seat.
Taking a seat.
So Lance.
We could start doing that as an intro. Us just sitting down.
That's true. That would be pretty good. And Lance sitting in between us.
Yeah,
That'd be crazy.
right here, and then we can like,
That'd be crazy. Well,
Be
a
like,
boy
"Hey,
a boy
Lance."
can dream.
yeah.
A boy can dream.
Maybe we should get a Lance Stroll cardboard cutout.
I think is that too much?
That's
if he
probably too
walks
much,
in,
yeah. No, that's probably too much.
He
Sorry,
maybe
Lance.
think
We're not trying to
messing with
creep
him.
you out.
No.
We're not trying to do that.
No. But anyways, on to the race weekend.
Yeah. Free practice.
Free practice
I-
1.
Say, I mean, obviously the most significant thing to talk about is a bit of a crash that
A
happened.
little crashy
A
poo
little crash that
from
happened.
Logan Sargent poo.
Yeah, our friend Logan Sargent couldn't quite keep it on the track.
He tried.
He tried.
He tried.
He tried.
He was putting in quite a bit of steering input, but it was just understeering out of the corner.
Yeah, he just overcooked it.
Yeah.
But Logan went wide on a corner, went into the gravel and hit the wall. I'd
Hard
say
enough.
reasonably hard.
Pretty
Yeah,
hard enough. Yeah.
broke his suspension, so hard enough.
Tough.
This is a pretty big concern for Williams, a team that apparently has no backup vehicles available at any time.
Hoping to have one for
Miami, I think they
Yeah.
said, which is a
two
little
races,
ways away.
Two
still.
races from now.
Yeah,
That's in May.
yeah.
I
So
just May.
they're in kind of dire straits at Williams if people keep crashing.
And we ain't talking money for nothing.
All our music
They
fans
aren't.
will really appreciate that
Yeah,
one.
we ain't talking Sultans of Swing over here. Anyways,
We're good.
they are in dire straits.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry for derailing that.
No, that's good.
May 3rd to 5th, they're going to have, I think, a new chassis.
Really? All new, so they'll be way faster.
No, just
Top 10.
just for the one car.
Top 10 team.
But we'll get into that.
Top 10 team? Williams?
wish,
Is that your
maybe.
prediction?
Maybe that's not my prediction.
This
But
just in.
anyways,
Noah's
he
prediction
crashed.
for a second
He
half of the
crashed.
season.
I'm not predicting
Williams top 10 team.
I'm
I'm
not
holding him
predicting
to
that.
that one. We're gonna cycle
Look.
back to that later on.
Look,
Williams.
David. I'm the one holding a pen,
Yeah.
and when you hold a pen, you get
Hold
to
on.
have.
Let me make a note in my phone.
No, you get to have it. Listen, it's not
Let
the
me
same
just
thing.
let me just
It's
quickly
not
write
the same
down.
thing at all. It's not the same thing at all.
Yeah.
I have the pen in my
well,
hand. It shows that I use paper. You use your little notes pad on your
Yeah.
phone.
Well. Yeah. We got Google Notes opening right now.
Anyways, Google Notes.
Adding a note, and it just says Noah.
Get a load of this guy. He doesn't even have an
loves
iPhone.
Williams.
This guy's poor. This guy doesn't respect himself enough
2 times.
to have an iPhone.
I saw the 2 times is to represent that
times.
Noah has actually advocated that he
Doubling
thinks
down.
Williams will be a 2 times world champion by 2027.
That would be crazy. That'd be a crazy arc.
You said it, not me.
But anyways, yes, he crashed. Sargent crashed. The
Yes.
chassis was fine. Both
was.
Williams started the race. Qualifying went as expected. Verstappen hit pole, but what wasn't quite expected was that Perez was chomping at the bit behind Verstappen.
Oh, people keep saying this. Okay, I will give. Oh, sorry. I got something to say here. Perez did. Perez did better.
Pulling up the time gap now.
No, I know. It was a small gap. Perez did way better in this session. But to be clear, even if Max hadn't beat his previous time, Perez still wouldn't have beaten him. He still would not have. Max still would have beaten Perez. People keep giving Perez a bit too much credit for only managing to get close to Max's first lap time that he set, which he then
that was his
improved
first?
upon. Yes.
Wait. No, I looked
He-
at his.
no,
I
he-
looked at a comparison of his pole lap to Perez.
Yes, his pole lap, they were both close, but Perez wouldn't have even beaten Max's opening lap
No,
in Q3.
that's fine. That's fine.
It's too much credit to him. Perez did better in this qualifying. I'll give him that. He's still not doing anything to actually make Max sweat, ever. Max still improved upon his time. Max said after that lap was completed that it wasn't his best lap, but at least there's still more in the car. I don't think Perez has a shot at coming anywhere near Max. I still think they should replace
I was happy
him.
that Perez only was 0.046 of a second behind Max. I thought that was a really good performance for him.
It is.
And that
It
I'm
is.
saying that wasn't expected. I expected there to be 3 to 4 tenths, so 0.3 or 0.4 between Max
Okay,
and the person behind.
I'm just gonna say, and I
I'm
think
saying
this
it wasn't
goes.
expected.
I think this goes for
I'll say it
every
wasn't
single
expected.
team on the grid. You shouldn't be able to get to the halfway point of the season and not have beaten your teammate a single time in qualifying, and that's the way things are looking for Perez already.
Ouch, dude. Ease up on Ricardo.
Yep, I'm looking at Ricardo.
He's
Stroll
up
did
on-
technically beat Alonso in a session already,
He
so
did.
Stroll's got that going for him.
Whoo-wee. That was close. We almost just lost that interview.
But yeah, I'm looking at any of the teams where that's the case. Sargent, I'm looking at you. You better beat Albon once, because your chances of staying in Williams are not looking
Well,
so hot,
he
buddy.
did beat Albon.
Okay.
Let's get into it. Anyways, qualifying the starting grid for the top 10.
I'm talking about qualifying there. Qualifying.
Fair enough. They finished the same amount of races, but we'll get to it. Verstappen was first. Perez was second. Norris was third.
Yep.
In a valiant effort. Sainz was fourth. Alonso was fifth. Piastri was sixth.
Yep.
McLaren looking really nice.
Yeah,
In
in good
qualifying.
shape. Yeah.
Seventh was Hamilton. Eighth was complete heartbreak for me. Leclerc in eighth.
Yeah.
Great
Yeah.
heavens, that had me
And
worried.
Leclerc on his lap too.
He said he's like, that's all I had.
Yeah,
That's
he's
all I
like,
got.
that's all I got. I don't understand. Him and Hamilton both were like, we do not understand how people are driving faster right
Yeah.
now. We do not get it.
Yeah.
We have no idea how to go faster.
Hamilton was half a second behind
Yeah.
Verstappen.
That radio message was crazy.
Yeah.
Hamilton got across the line, and his engineer came on. He was like, that's half a second to Verstappen. And Hamilton was like, where are they getting that half a second from? They
Literally
just
everywhere.
do not know. Everybody
Yeah.
was saying that, though.
It's crazy.
Everybody was saying that. Nobody understands.
It's so wild to see Mercedes now be on the back foot and not have, no offense, but the faintest clue of what to do. It is crazy.
One thing that's
'Cause
probably...
it's like, this is what it was like to race you
Yep.
for 7 years.
Yep. Yeah.
You know what? I'll say 6.
One thing that I think, though, is I'd imagine members of their technical team, like their development team, are
Yeah.
feeling a little bit vindicated because people were so harshing on the zero side pod design and everything. Clearly, that wasn't the issue.
No.
They've switched platforms. They switched to more of a Red Bull style, and they're even further back now than they were.
That's so hard. No, I don't think you can make that comparison. I don't think you can. Because look, if they continue with the zero side pod design, they could be fighting for 14th now. You don't know.
We don't know.
You
That's
don't
fair.
know.
But the zero
That's the
side pod
thing.
design wasn't actually putting them in that position.
No, it wasn't. But other teams had, like McLaren was not a player when they had the
And
zero side pods.
in both the 2022 season and 2023 season,
Yes.
Mercedes was starting to consistently get up and challenging for top spots and podium spots by the end of the season. So
I don't know if, like, what I'm saying is I don't know if that's a vindication on the zero side pod design being okay, or if it's or if it's more about this, like, a sign of the times where, like, other teams hadn't perfected their car platform as much.
maybe it's hard
Like,
to say.
I just don't think
But,
that
like,
you can say.
Well, like we can look at Ferrari as a comparison. They've
Yeah.
gone away from their side pod design
They've
from last
chilled
year.
on their design every year. It puts you, I think, 50% ahead of everybody else.
I'd agree with that. I agree with that. Obviously, Red Bull has an advantage being the front-running team.
Yes.
Means that they can keep that position easier because they're always starting a step ahead of
Yeah,
everybody
and like
else.
Ferrari and Red Bull started these new regulations in 2022 right beside each other, I would say.
They did. They did.
Right beside each other.
They did.
And that put them in an easier spot where they didn't have to worry about making it work. They just had to execute, which Ferrari did not, and Red Bull did.
Yep.
And then 2023, Red Bull's car got even better. And then Ferrari's kind of got worse. And then they had to fix that. So it's all
Yeah.
about like the amount of effort that you have and what you're putting it towards. And Mercedes is just trying to get their car to perform in the performance window that they expect it to, but they just can't. And then when they show up and they think we can perform in this window, everybody, or like 4 other teams outperform them.
Yeah.
Or we'll say 3.5 other teams outperform them,
Yep. That's true.
which is crazy. But
That's
I
true.
mean, I guess that is the game.
Yep.
I guess the craziest part is that minus some technical people that have been poached or left or fired throughout all the different reasons, like it's the same people. It's crazy to see the same people
Yeah.
go from winning a championship in 2020 and fighting for one in 21
Yep.
to wallowing kind of in the upper midfield.
Yeah.
I'll call it upper midfield.
Yeah. But yeah,
It's crazy.
for sure. That was my keyboard that just fell.
It scared me.
For sure, that was certainly a rough performance for Mercedes again,
Yeah.
though,
Yeah,
and Leclerc
7th
as
and 9th.
well.
And
yeah.
Leclerc, that was,
I
I don't know. I
To
don't know what
move
happened.
down the field, ninth was Russell,
Ninth was
correct?
Russell,
And
yep.
10th was Sonoda.
Homeboy Sonoda.
Homeboy. Got into Q3.
That was cool.
Pretty
That was
impressive
cool to
stuff.
see. And 11th was Ricardo.
Yeah.
So the RBs are looking. They looked good,
They do look good.
which I'm amazed by
Yeah.
in a medium speed track.
To be fair, they did say last year that they were going to start copying Red Bull a bit closer
Yes.
with that team.
Yeah.
So I did expect them to probably make a bit of a jump forward in terms of that kind of lower midfield team,
Mm-hmm.
you know? So good on them. They're making progress. Clearly that car is looking a bit better this year compared to previous years at the
Yes.
moment.
Yes.
Because it was like one of the slowest at the start of
That
last
was
season.
brutal.
Bad.
Yeah.
Bad. But yeah, good stuff from them. And then it's just kind of a grab bag of random people
Yeah.
when you get
Stroll
below
was
that.
in 16th, which is brutal.
Yeah, well, especially when your teammate's up in
Fifth.
fifth.
Yeah, that was
Fifth.
tough. Just couldn't get the car going for him. And Stroll's not known for his one lap pace.
He's not the best qualifier.
Yeah.
That's always been kind of the case, but this was pretty rough.
Yeah, that was
unfortunately.
tough.
I did not expect to see Stroll that low.
No,
To not make Q2 in an Aston Martin right now is
a little
pretty
crazy,
rough.
but yeah.
That's not great. You don't want to see that. That should be a car
No.
that's consistently in Q3 at the moment.
Yeah, so I'll have to see see if he can kind of snap that
Yeah.
going into China.
Yeah. China will
Singapore's-
be a lot of fun because we're going to have a lot of drivers on the grid that haven't driven there before.
Yes.
I can't wait to see what happens in China because we don't really know what to expect. We don't have like a legacy of people knowing this track as much. Some people will.
Was it 2019?
Something like that. But it's been gone from the calendar for a few years.
Yes, I think 2019 was the last time that they raced there. I'm
Yeah.
going to double check that.
Yeah, so it's pretty exciting to see that we'll have like obviously Oscar probably hasn't really driven there at all.
No.
It's unlikely that somebody like has Leclerc even driven there? Probably, I guess maybe once. But like they won't be super familiar with that track even still. Only driving there once isn't exactly experience there. So it'll be pretty fun to see how some of the newer drivers handle that track. It'll be fun to see how some of the more experienced drivers handle it as well.
Leclerc raced there for 2 years.
2 years, 2 years. Okay.
But like Tsunoda's never raced there.
Yeah, Tsunoda's never raced there. Yeah, Sargent,
Piastri,
obviously, Piastri,
Guangzhou.
Joe.
Yeah.
Yeah, any of the younger rookies that are on the grid won't have driven there. So that's exciting stuff to see.
And the teams just don't have any data on it for the last 4 years.
Yeah.
Nothing in this technical regulation.
Yeah, nothing
so
with the new cars. Nothing with the ground effect
Singapore is an
cars.
interesting track.
It's very tight, isn't it?
Well, it's tight, but then all of a sudden you have these long straights. It's like a
Is it a bit like Baku?
no, it's like a
Azerbaijan?
funky Singapore or not Singapore. No, Silverstone. Completely different.
Really?
It's like a funky Silverstone. Yeah,
Yeah, it's not a track I'm super familiar with either.
I like it actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'll be interesting though.
I'm
But
gonna
back
show you a picture. You can continue.
back to the Japanese Grand Prix though.
Yes.
That was the starting grid laid out for your race. I know that was a bit jumbled up, but basically a lot of the teams you'd expect to be in the top 10 were again in the
rearranged
top 10.
Silverstone.
Yeah, it is a very interesting track. Very interesting track.
But yeah,
Maybe in post I can throw up an image of
maybe. Yeah. It's like a funky Silverstone, but it's got some long straight sections and then a lot of like wigglies and then a lot of like large hairpins.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah.
Large 180-degree or more. But yes, so that was our qualifying. Max took his 4th pole
Yep.
consecutively.
Yep.
Which is the first time that's happened since 2015.
Really?
Which was Lewis Hamilton, yes. Aston Martin had their car upgraded. A little different side pod design to look a little more like the Red Bull.
Yeah, it did look a
design
little bit
again.
more like the Red Bull design. I don't think they're quite like copying Red Bull on this one again,
No,
but
and-
like it definitely looks a bit more reminiscent of what
Yeah.
Red Bull's doing
And
at the
I
moment.
never really cared.
Yeah, I don't care either.
Like
if
when they did
that's
the pink Mercedes thing, I was like, Yeah.
Yeah, like
You can look at it and say, hey, their front wing element has this, 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 and this, and they have much more front end grip than we do.
yeah.
We should try that.
To be fair with the pink Mercedes, they like copied it to an extreme degree, but even then I wasn't really that bothered about
I
that.
don't care.
Yeah, go for it.
Copy the ones who are winning.
Yeah.
And
If
then
it
it'll bring the
can
field tighter together if you copy it well enough.
Yeah, if it can create some
So-
exciting racing because all of a sudden you have Aston Martin challenging top teams, which they are now.
And they did, because they copied Red Bull for the most part.
Yeah.
with a lot of their
With-
designs. They
yeah, a
also had
few-
Red Bull people.
They did, yeah.
So it's
they
like
did.
copying Red
Dan
Bull. It's like,
Fallows.
or did they just take their ideas with them?
And to be fair, they had some pretty unique elements that people
Yeah.
weren't really giving them full credit for.
Yep.
Like the deep channels that are in the side pods. I think they were
Yes.
the first ones to actually do that. That wasn't Red Bull's design choice.
Yeah.
And
And they're making a Red Bull type aero package work on a Mercedes architecture,
yeah,
because the entire rear end has to generally be Mercedes, because the rear suspension
Yep.
is Mercedes because it's attached to the Mercedes engine that's in it. So yeah, you can't fault them for that. But anyhow, and then the Red Bull also got upgraded a little bit with a little bit more of a side pod stoop going in, and then some actually pretty cool redirecting kind of elements under the wing, or
Oh, yeah.
under the mirror, under the mirror arm,
I didn't really
which
notice.
looked really cool.
I was a bit disappointed. It wasn't the
Completely
touted
zero pod.
Yeah, the touted switch to a
We
zero
could
side
dream.
pod
If
design.
they go to a complete zero side pod and they have a slug or blob looking, like a blobfish looking Red Bull, and they still win, that'll be
It
obscene.
would be so funny.
That'd be outrageous.
Just for like Mercedes to lose to somebody stealing their design
Yeah.
would be so funny.
Oh.
It'd be so funny.
I hope
I'd
it's
love
in-
to see
I hope
it.
it's, I want to see a zero pod Red Bull,
Yeah.
because like as much as the zero pod Mercedes was fairly ugly, I liked it.
I thought it had its charm to
I
it.
thought it was different.
Yes.
I liked that it was different.
Yes, I agree. I don't think it was the best looking car on the grid, but like it was interesting
It
at
was.
least.
Yep.
I'll give it that.
Yep.
Yeah. But we get into the race
Z-race.
start. Oh my goodness. I was quite bitter about this race start. I stayed up to watch the start of the race at least, because it was quite late for us.
1 a.m.
And
start time.
The first lap around the first corner, I know.
Third
Hold
corner.
on.
But yeah.
Hold on, I was getting there.
Oh,
Slow down.
sorry.
Around the first corner, everything looks clean and like everything's good for the first two. They start to approach the third corner. And what does Ricardo do? He comes all the way from the left side of the track to the right side of the track without really checking
He didn't check his
anything
outside
around
mirror.
him at all. And just
Clips.
completely takes out Alexander Albon in
clips
himself.
Albon's front wheel, which sends Ricardo's rear wheel off the rim. He spins, sends Albon into the barriers fairly hard.
Yep.
Takes them both out of the race completely.
Yep.
Red flag, stops the race.
Yep, and then we had to wait another
It
15
was
or
like
so
half
minutes.
an hour, I thought.
It might have been, honestly. I
I'm pretty
lost
sure it
track
was
of
half an
time.
hour.
I lost track of time.
Yeah.
I was awake for that still, and I was just like, well, here we go. Time to start playing a video game and not pay any attention to the race anymore. So I was quite crushed by this because I had Alexander Albon as one of my drivers in the F1 pool, and that's negative 20 points for him getting taken out by Ricardo that I just got there.
Negative 20.
It's negative 20 for a DNF.
Wow. No
It's
matter
an-
where they start
It's
from.
an automatic negative 20. They get no points. They just count
Wow.
as negative 20.
I thought it depended on where they started.
Nope, it's
Because
negative
I was like,
20.
Max got negative 20 because he started at the front and then his engine
Nope.
blew up. Or his
Negative
brake
20.
blew up, but-
So that
Wow.
that was painful for me because I would have beaten you in points if it wasn't for that. And I would have been close to Andrew in points because I had negative 20 from too many transfers as well. So I had negative 40 points there. So my 220 odd points that I got would have actually been 260 odd points without that. But
Alas.
I mean, the transfers would have happened no matter what, so I won't count those.
Yeah.
But I would have been somewhere in the 240s if Ricardo hadn't just casually driven into another driver without checking anything around
He checked.
him.
Yeah, what happened was he was checking his inside mirror because he was defending against an inside move. But
What?
what he
Yeah,
failed to
from
realize,
Stroll.
but what he failed to realize was that Albon was already up beside him, and you can see him look in his inside mirror and move out.
And I think people are giving him. To be fair, Stroll did not look like he was really attacking the inside. To be honest, I don't think there was much pressure
He was.
there.
I'm not
I
saying he should have checked his right mirror.
obviously, yeah, but like I just don't
So
know
like
why
it
he
is.
was making.
I'm just explaining what he did. He should have checked his left and his right mirror.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
He should have.
Yeah, he should have.
It's on him.
Yeah.
He should have, but he did not, and he took them out of the
At
race.
the
It ruined his race
at
too.
the start of a race, especially going around just the first couple corners.
You should be checking your mirrors.
Why on earth do you think you have the room to cut across the entire track and there's not going to potentially be a car there?
That's fair.
That is an insane move
Should
to
have checked
make.
his mirrors.
It's not even about checking mirrors at that point. That is a crazy move to make.
Other drivers would have checked the mirrors.
Sure, he should have checked his mirrors still, even if he had that.
But
Like,
yeah, to move,
it's just a
he moved,
crazy
like,
move to make.
2+ cars over.
Yeah,
Or I'll
it's like
say
he was
2
trying to
cars
take
over.
a normal racing line on the opening lap.
Yeah,
That's an insane thing to do.
that wasn't great.
That's a terrible decision making from Ricardo there. I'm sorry.
And you're sour because it ruined your pool.
I'm sour,
And
and
that's
I
okay.
also think Ricardo's not going to stay very long in that team.
Doesn't sound like it.
I think that
Doesn't
guy's
sound like it.
he's on his way out.
Mhm.
And to be fair to Ricardo, I genuinely think it's just car dependent for him.
Yeah,
I have a feeling if he was in the Red Bull, we'd maybe see some okay driving. Who
maybe.
knows?
I think it's pressure dependent.
I probably doesn't perform that well under pressure as well.
I don't think he has that anymore, which is too bad. I was always a Ricardo fan.
Yep, but he is just not performing. He is absolutely not performing like he needs to be.
Yeah,
Consistently getting beaten by Yuki. Just making bizarre mistakes at this point too.
yep.
It's looking a lot more again like him back at McLaren.
Oof, don't say
I'm saying
that. Dark
that.
days.
I'm
Dark
saying
days.
that.
Yeah, it's tough.
We're not seeing a race winning Ricardo.
No.
Let's be real.
But I'm the luckiest boy at the ball
Uh-huh.
because I dropped Ricardo this week and picked up Kevin Magnussen.
He was a good choice too.
He
He
was
got
a
quite a
great
few
choice.
points this race.
He was
I
a great
think.
choice.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've gotten so lucky all year. I've been in first all year in our fantasy pool, and it's all just been perfect luck.
You've gotten
Perfect luck.
Yeah.
I have not put a foot wrong anywhere.
I was like, Albon's so good. He's so consistent. Surely this will be a good choice. Unfortunately, I could not have predicted Ricardo,
Taking him out.
who I did not pick at all.
Yeah, I had him, and I was like,
No.
not liking what I'm seeing here. I was like,
Yeah.
I like what I'm seeing from the Haas boys. I had both Haas drivers.
They both scored pretty good points this race
have
too
both
in the
Haas
pool.
drivers.
Not in the
Yes.
actual race. To be
I
clear,
had both Haas drivers and Haas as a manufacturer as well. So
I saw that.
Yep.
I saw that.
I'm just lucky. It's
Uh,
literally just been luck.
I know we're trying to get into the race here, but
But
did
yeah.
you have any thoughts on the strategy which I would say maybe me and Andrew had both talked about this beforehand, but I'd been running in the background for a while. But did you notice what our teams were
What teams?
in the fantasy pool? Did you notice what me and Andrew are doing here?
No, I never looked at anybody else's team.
Okay, then I'm not saying anything.
Are you just picking what nobody else is picking?
Nope. There's something very particular going on. It's a team I've been running in the background for a while, and it's been the top scoring team on almost every single race. It would have beaten you in pretty much all the races we've had.
Yeah, I believe it.
But
it's-
I've been keeping quiet about this one. So I hope Noah doesn't look and forgets about this now, because then I shouldn't have brought it up if I knew that.
I'm going to look
I
at it.
discussed it with Andrew very briefly, and he did the same thing that I did. And now my dad's trying to also copy us because he does pay attention to what other people do, which
Gotcha.
I'm not happy about. But
How are you? Okay, anyways.
it doesn't matter.
That'll be fine.
We're going a different route than some of the other
Yeah,
people.
go
To be
for
fair,
it.
you're still doing extremely well with doing what you're doing, obviously.
I'm
You still
probably
scored
just-
more points than me.
I'm probably just going to keep going
Yeah, just keep doing what you're doing.
because I don't want anything to get in my head. But anyways, to the race. These people probably don't even take part in the F1 fantasy pool.
They
so
should. It's
it is
fun.
what it is. But
It's
it is
pretty fun.
It is a good time. And it is free.
Actually, To be fair, there's somebody that I was talking to the other day, a
Mhm.
friend of mine,
Mhm.
that I would never have expected to be in an F1 fantasy pool.
Same, actually.
And they were like, "Yeah, I'm in it." And I was like, "What?" And they're
Yeah.
like, "Yeah, just cuz
That
I'm
exact thing happened
competing
to me
against
too.
one other friend." And I was like,
This guy
"Oh."
isn't even really competing. I think he's just in like the general one. But yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, so that's
shout out to
interesting.
Andrew. He said the F1 fantasy app sucks, and I said I disagree.
Is this
Anyways,
a coworker or
was
was? Yeah,
pour
okay.
one out. Pour one out. Anyways,
All right, the
so the
race. The
race,
race. Yeah. So
Ricardo and
we've talked
Albon
about that
taken out.
opening lap.
Red
Yeah,
flag.
red flag.
So when a red flag happens, all the cars go into the pits, and drivers or like teams can make tire changes for free.
Yep. And it usually takes up to a half hour for them to fix the damage
Yeah.
caused by the cars crashing. And then once they have the track cleared and they have all the walls
The
fixed,
tires back together.
yeah, all the tires or whatever type of wall they crashed into back together, then all the drivers, depending on the situation, will either come out of the pits and do like a rolling start and start
Which
going.
they've rarely ever done.
Very rarely. Or what will happen, especially if it was a red flag on like the opening lap, they'll do a full race restart. So they'll line back up on the starting grid again, and the lights go out, and they all start again and do it
Yep.
all over again.
So
as
they
the
did a
second
standing
time.
start.
Yeah, so they did. Yeah, that's called the standing start.
Yep.
They restarted the race and took off again. And this time the laps went by without drama.
Yep.
We only had
But
that.
I wanted to note Ferrari put on brand new medium tires for both their drivers.
They did.
For the red flag restart.
They
And
did.
I don't think nobody competitive did that. Nobody else that was competitive.
Yeah, not many of the teams changed
Like
their tires.
Alpine
No.
did it, but
Well, yeah, Alpine's bad. Not many of the teams changed tires during the red flag. Most of them kept the same.
Yep.
And then
Leclerc got past Hamilton on the restart on his new tires.
good. I didn't even notice that. Good
Yes.
catch. Good
Yes.
catch. Wasn't paying
It
attention.
was right in the first skirmish going into the first corner.
Yeah.
That extra grip helped him out.
I'd say the majority of the race was relatively uneventful
It
in
was.
terms of what was really going on. I think there's a few things to note though.
There was.
And one
yep.
is
What do you
Leclerc. So
got?
let's talk about Leclerc.
Leclerc's drive.
Leclerc.
Oh,
So
essere Ferrari.
as mentioned, Leclerc started pretty far down at the start.
Started in 8th.
8th place is
exact.
where he started, and he stayed out for half the race on those first medium tires.
24 laps to be exact.
24
out of a
laps.
53 lap race.
And he managed to make that work. He stayed at half the race on those, and then pitted, and then for hards.
Yep.
And then did he pit again, or did he stay
Nope.
on those hards?
Nope,
So
he
he
did
did
a
a
two-stop.
one-stop strategy.
Or yeah, a one-stop, sorry.
One-stop strategy, and he managed to come in
4th. Made up 4 places.
4 places. Wonderful drive to finish just behind his teammate.
Chef's kiss. He got
Incredible.
4th. So he passed Hamilton, Piastri, Norris,
Norris.
and Alonso
Yep.
through strategy and big brain moves.
Yep. Yeah.
So
Their strategy paid off big
he
time.
just hopped Piastri and Alonso right away, and then he had to kind of skirmish with Norris a little bit.
Yeah.
But he didn't really stand a chance.
And it was interesting on those medium tires. They kept him out until they could tell like he couldn't stay on the track anymore.
Yeah, he
Because
was.
the first moment where he went wide, they were like, "All right,
Yeah.
now we're bringing you
Yeah.
in."
But yeah,
but-
24 laps on medium tires, and Japan, interestingly, even though it was an early race this year, had very high degradation.
It did, yeah.
They had a 40 degrees
Hot
Celsius track temperature, which is pretty crazy.
Yeah.
And that's a very hard track because it is quite high speed. It's a hard track on the front tires. So that's not usually a skill set that we see Leclerc have
No.
in like extreme tire saving.
Yeah.
Albon's done it. Perez has done it. Leclerc's not usually known for doing that.
No.
But that was a heroic stint that gifted him a 4-place, grid advancement. And just Ferrari's getting so good.
Their
They're
strategy
so good.
has been great this season
Effortless.
so far.
It's just been clinical and professional.
And
I'm so happy.
I mean, if you've been watching the last couple seasons, Ferrari has been a disaster and a half.
2022.
2022 was depressing.
That will go
was-
down as the harshest season in my life.
It was flat out depressing. Ferrari started things off so strong. They were
Yep.
winning the championship. Leclerc was winning in the driver's points.
Yep.
And then Ferrari just decided to make strategy blunder after
Boom,
strategy
boom,
blunder after
boom,
strategy
boom.
blunder. And
Pit blunder, reliability.
it wasn't even Leclerc's fault until they hit France and he made like one mistake and
And it
crashed.
was basically over before that race anyway.
Yeah, it was over.
He had to
before that
he had to
race.
win like every race after that to win it.
Yeah, there was no real way.
was
Like the
ridiculous.
odds of him winning that at that point were so low.
Yeah.
It was theoretically possible, but not really possible. But yeah, so Leclerc was a big talking point this race.
So to see them on
Great
the up and
job.
up is amazing.
Yeah, fantastic.
And with their strategy with Sainz and just every single movement that they're doing, like Sainz was coming up on Leclerc at the end of the race. He had much fresher tires, and they said, look, don't lose time. Like they instructed Leclerc to not lose time fighting, but they didn't tell him to let him by.
Yep.
The announcers said that they fought for it. I think it was a pretty smooth let by. I don't
Yeah.
think Leclerc fought like at all.
I don't think he fought
He
hard because
gave
we've
it-
seen them fight
He
hard.
gave him the outside at turn 1.
Yeah. Yeah,
You
we've
don't give somebody the outside at turn 1 at Suzuka because then they slingshot out.
yeah, and
So
they
he
then they
gave
have
him
the
the outside,
inside.
and then Leclerc just tucked right in behind him and carried on. It
Yep.
was just,
Yep.
a reasonable let by.
Yep.
Where none of them lost any pace. It was perfect. But yeah, just to see how well they're putting things together,
It's
it's
impressive.
looking like a good team.
It is.
As we saw in Australia, if Red Bull puts a foot wrong,
Ferrari's
I
there.
think Ferrari is right there.
Yep.
I don't want to jinx it, but basically every time.
Yeah. And I mean, with how this qualifying went, I was a bit worried. I was like, oh, maybe McLaren's got this one a little bit more than Ferrari, but nope. Ferrari's just making the right strategy calls right now. They are looking sharp.
And their race pace is just gorgeous.
Yeah.
Because what
Yeah.
Leclerc
Yeah.
lacked in qualifying pace, he more than made up for in race pace.
Yeah.
Because he
Race
could
pace is
slice
great.
and dice the McLarens.
Race pace has been great, which is an awesome change.
Yeah.
That hasn't been the case recently.
Last year, it was just the front tire degradation that was killing them every single time that they looked good. Leclerc would qualify in pole because they had a great qualifying setup, and then their race pace, they would just kill the front tires
Yep.
and then just rumble bumble
Yeah.
down the field.
Yeah.
It's brutal
Because like half,
to watch.
almost half
for
the
me.
poles last
Only
season
for
were
me.
Leclerc, but he still couldn't ever get an actual race win.
Yeah,
It just wasn't going to happen
yeah, just the car wasn't working. But hey,
this season.
Ferrari's looking good.
I'd love to see a
Ferrari's
win
posting
for
up.
Leclerc this season
I
at
would
some
kill
point.
for it. Maybe
I'd be
not
sad.
actually. Well, maybe I would. Depends on what we're killing.
Yeah. Yeah. Kill the right thing.
yeah. Stake finally did a sub 5-second pit stop first try.
Wow.
And I
was
say sub
remarkable.
5 second because it was 4.6 seconds.
I thought Valtteri's was faster than that. I
Nope.
thought it was Joe that had the one that
well,
was
he did
close
have
to
the 4
5.
point. He did have the 4 point, but they were not under 3 seconds ever.
Oh, were they not? I thought
Nope.
Valtteri was.
I don't think no.
Okay,
No.
well, I mean, they're getting better at least.
They did a sub 5 second, and
It was a pretty
that's
good
lot.
drive for Valtteri. Like,
It was
he
great
had a good
drive.
race.
He looked like he could actually compete for some points.
Yeah.
Which I know with Valtteri, the driver can compete for more than points.
But the
The
team
state car
yeah,
does not look like it.
yeah,
Then,
it's not great.
I made a note of everybody passing the Alpines like they were standing still.
Yeah,
Anywhere.
yep.
It didn't matter where on the track they were.
Sonoda was passing them or going
They were
around
passing
like,
them through the S's like it was nothing.
Yep. Yeah, which to be
Which-
clear is a section you cannot normally pass anybody at, but the
Yeah, it's like
Alpines were getting
left,
past
right,
there
left, right, and
constantly.
they're all quite short together.
Yep.
So it's hard to get up alongside somebody. But I do have to say, Lance Stroll and Sonoda were dicing people in the S's.
They were.
It was crazy.
They were.
It was
Lance could never
unbelievable.
quite make it past Sonoda, which was unfortunate.
Yeah.
But he tried,
He did.
and it just didn't really
But yeah,
pan out.
Sonoda made like 4 passes in the S's.
Yeah,
But every single time that somebody passed an Alpine, it was like they were standing still.
yeah. Do we want to talk
Sad.
about Lance's radio message?
I don't know. I don't know, do we? Oh, and Guan Yu Zhou retired because of a gearbox problem. So
Yes,
I think,
he
I think
retired pretty
Stake
early,
is
yeah.
imploding, and I think Audi is maybe renegotiating the purchase price.
But yeah, so Lance I'd say closer. It was like,
Right close to the end. It was
yeah,
like the
close to the end of the race.
last 5 or 8 laps.
All of a sudden came on the radio in quite a desperate state, I would say. Like
Yeah,
he sounded distraught.
a little bit.
And he just came over the radio and he was like, "These guys are so fast on the straights. Like,
He's like, this
our
car
en-
looks like we're in a different category,
yeah,
man.
yeah, these guys are driving in a different category." And so, like, a lot of people were saying it's Lance's version of Alonso being with
Yeah.
McLaren and being like GP2 engine,
Yeah,
GP2 engine.
which was so funny
That was funny.
at the time. This
Which
one was less funny, but
severely damaged McLaren's reputation or relationship with Honda at the
Yeah.
time, with Alonso saying that.
the Japanese race, which is
Yeah.
Honda's home race.
That's the Japanese Grand Prix.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that was the same one where they asked how's the car feel, and he said much slower than usual.
Yeah.
He said good, much slower than usual.
Yeah.
But anyhow, yeah, people were likening it to that. My only comment is Stroll's complaining about the car that Alonso is in 6th place with.
He is, and you got to look at that. And I don't know, maybe I would say it doesn't seem to have the best straight line performance out of the cars on the grid right now. But like,
No, but
also, that's only half the race. Like, a big portion of it is making up that time in the corners.
And like
And if you get a good corner
where you
exit,
are in the field.
yeah,
Because then, yeah, when you're meddling, like, unfortunately for Lance having a bad qualifying, like, when you're meddling behind Haas's
Yep.
and RBs and Alpines, you have to stick at their pace for the early parts of the lap. You can't have those front runners drag you along. And I'm not saying drag you along in a derogatory way.
no,
I'm saying that's how that happens.
Yep.
How do you think, like, if Mercedes was in 14th, they would not have finished in the points?
no.
They had to stay in that top 10. If you fall outside that top 10, it's your pooch to get back. You got no
Yep.
DRS on the fast cars. So
Although
anyways.
I did want to talk about the gap from Tsunoda to the rest of the top 9. I don't know if you
What was
noticed how
that?
severe that gap
Wasn't
was.
it like 25 seconds?
Oh, it was more.
Was
It
more?
was more
At the end of the race?
at the end of the race. That gap was
Because I noticed.
severe.
Or no, wait. The gap to from Alonso to Leclerc. Wait.
No, the gap
from Alonso to Leclerc was 25 seconds.
There were some big gaps, yeah.
But sorry, go ahead.
Everybody below Hamilton had been lapped in the race.
That was crazy.
The time differential was insane from the people driving at the front of the field to the people driving at the
Norris to Alonso was 20 some seconds.
back. Yeah.
And yeah,
And
you're
it was
right.
an additional
Tsunoda was lapped.
Yeah, it was like a 48-second gap from
Which was
Tsunoda to
crazy.
Hamilton or something
We
like
haven't
that.
seen that kind of thing. I'm pretty sure. So the most, aside from Max Verstappen's last year, the most dominant year to happen was 2016.
Yep.
With Mercedes. And it was the most dominant in the sense that basically the average, like we'll call it lapping score, was 9th place.
Yeah.
So the winner of the race, which was Mercedes, would, other than when they both crashed out and Verstappen won, would lap up to or including 9th, sometimes I'm pretty sure even 7th place.
Yeah.
Would be lapped by the leader. So only the top 6 are on the lead lap.
Yeah.
But yeah, we haven't seen this kind of lapping in these new regulations at all.
No. It's traumatic.
It is.
Like, really big time gaps we're seeing.
Huge.
And the top
Worrying
5 teams are just in a completely different
Yeah.
league than the bottom 5.
Yeah.
Just completely different. It's not remotely close this year. It looks kind of close when you're looking at qualifying performances and everything, but when you get into actual race pace, that bottom 5 group of teams just cannot compete.
Yeah.
And I like, if Lance actually gets a good qualifying under his belt, there's no way any of them are scoring points.
No.
The problem is Lance has been struggling a lot in qualifying so far. So hopefully he can start to bring that back together as time goes on. Because I'd really like to not see a repeat of last year where it was kind of just Alonso carrying Aston Martin on his back.
Yeah.
And that was unfortunately the case last year. It just
Yeah.
was. If Lance was a bit more consistent, we would have seen them probably easily walk away with second in the constructor, I think. With the performances they were putting
yeah,
on in the start of the year,
yeah, they did
Alonso was getting
struggle. It's
tons of
true.
podiums.
Or like, which is what did they end up?
It was either third or fourth. They didn't fall that far behind. I can't remember if they finished ahead of Ferrari or not, though.
They didn't.
I didn't think they did. I think
Aston Martin was 5th.
they dropped to fifth.
Yes.
I thought they.
I think they could have got. I think they could have.
I think
gotten
they could have been
fourth.
significantly higher than that if Stroll was
Fourth or
putting.
third, because Ferrari.
I.
Red Bull is so depressing. Red Bull was 860 points. Mercedes was 409.
Yeah.
Ferrari was 406. McLaren was 302, and Aston Martin was 280.
With the podiums Alonso was getting, if Stroll could have been
Stroll could
matching
have
those
been, like,
performances,
high mid points.
we should have been seeing Aston Martin way higher.
True.
Way higher. He just could not match Alonso's
Yeah,
performances.
True.
Because think of the points differential. Like if Stroll is finishing in 9th and 10th, he's just getting 1 to 2 points a race.
Yeah.
When you've got
versus, like,
Alonso
6.
getting like 16 plus.
Yes, that's true.
In some of his races.
That's true. It'd be
So I
That's a
think
good factor to
they
think
were
about.
really let down by Stroll's performances
Last year.
So
We'll
hopefully
see what
that
he
won't
can
be
do
the
this year.
case. Yeah.
Where were we? Yeah, he was complaining about the car.
Yeah, Stroll's complaints about the car.
And then you had right at the end of the race, you had Russell catching Piastri, catching Alonso. Well, sort of catching Alonso.
Yeah.
So then what
not
you had was
necessarily.
Alonso, instead of pulling away from Piastri out of DRS and leaving him to get caught by George Russell, and then having George Russell catch Alonso because Russell was on newer tires.
Yep.
Basically, just a repeat of Australia.
Ooh, it was.
It was on a tire
Australia.
situation. Alonso would drop back right before the DRS detection point and give Piastri DRS behind him.
He did.
And it was pretty funny to see, and it kept Russell from being able to attack Piastri. Now, Russell was a psycho into the chicane.
Yeah. Oh, was he? I kind of like
that?
tuned that out, honestly, at that point in the race.
If Piastri tried to stay on track, they would have crashed into each other and possibly ended each other's race.
Really?
At the chicane.
I saw Piastri leave the track. I just wasn't really cluing into what was going on.
Russell dove down the inside, but did not get ahead by the apex.
Yep.
And then completely drifted out to his left tire being at the edge of he was driving like Piastri wasn't there.
Really?
So Piastri went off track, took the escape road and continued on.
Yep.
And kept his position.
Good.
And then he radioed in. It's so funny when Piastri radios in because he's so calm.
Yeah.
He was just like, I had nowhere to go. He left me no option. But it's like he almost got like that. Like races have ended there.
Yep.
Senna and Prost, 1983.
Yeah.
I believe it was 83 or 84. They crashed into each other and it ended both their races.
Yeah.
Well, actually, yeah, sort of technically, but anyhow. And so yeah, that was nuts. I don't know what Russell is just being too aggressive, which he seems to have a track record doing towards the end of the race.
Yeah, we've seen this before.
But anyhow, so yeah, he was kind of toying with that fight and helping Piastri out as he could, but then eventually Russell got past Piastri on the last lap and then had no chance to.
So if Russell had crashed there, they're gonna penalize Piastri by 20 seconds,
or will they penalize Alonso because he gave Piastri DRS?
Yeah.
So it's pretty funny actually. They a Spanish journalist asked him about it.
Yeah,
and I have him quoted here. They asked about him giving Piastri DRS.
Yep.
They were like, "So you gave Piastri DRS? What do you think about that? Or what do you think?" I think they said, "What do you think the FIA will say about that?" And he said, "I don't know what to say anymore after Australia. Let's see if I get disqualified from the rest of the championship." So he's clearly still opinionated about that. Pretty evenly split on the F1 grid.
Yeah.
About him getting that penalization for the track.
I think the people saying that he should have gotten that penalty are just
they're clearly biased.
Yeah, that's insane. There's no way Alonso deserved that penalty. Yes, it might have come across as slightly erratic when following behind him, but
you have to react to that.
That's the name of the game.
You have to react
if people aren't allowed to do anything out of the ordinary anymore, what's the point?
Yeah, what's the racing?
You
have to go full throttle until you brake, and then you have to fully brake.
Yeah.
And you can't brake early.
No, you never brake early. That's 20-second penalty.
Yeah.
20-second penalty. I still can't get over how severe the penalty was.
Ridiculous.
That's the reason I can't believe any drivers are like, yep, he deserved a penalty.
Yeah,
Like, even if he deserved a penalty, a 20-second penalty is
that is crazy.
crazy.
Yeah,
Crazy severe.
yeah.
Crazy
And
severe.
I'm mostly frustrated about like if there are ramifications for other people's defensive driving behavior, like that would hurt racing.
Yep. Yeah, I
Like
agree.
again, Brazil 2023. The end of that race was electric because Perez was hunting down Alonso
Yep.
because of Alonso's interesting driving, but Perez handled it perfectly.
Yeah, he did.
And that was in a season, to be honest, where Perez was not handling driving so perfectly. So that was a great performance by Perez to
Yeah.
not crash into somebody.
That was very good. He had been crashing
So that
into
was
a lot of
good, but
people that season.
yeah, that was pretty interesting.
That was
And
rough.
so the final of the race was Max won,
Yep.
obviously, 12-second
Standard,
gap to Perez.
Yeah.
He was the first one to win the Japanese Grand Prix 3 years in a row since Michael Schumacher.
Really?
Yes.
Good for him. Good for
Second
him.
was Perez. Third was Sainz. Fourth was Leclerc. Fifth was Norris. Sixth was Alonso. Seventh was Russell. Eighth was Piastri. Ninth was Hamilton. And 10th was the hometown boy, Yuki Tsunoda. And people were going crazy for him, and he was going crazy for them.
Did he get
It was a
driver
good
of the
drive.
day?
No, Leclerc got driver of the day.
Yeah,
for
good. He
being
deserves it more.
an absolute tire whisperer. He
I'll-
speaks Pirelli.
That's why I got so many points from Leclerc on the F1.
'Cause he got
fantasy
driver of the
thing.
day?
Yeah, driver of the day.
That would be why.
Yeah, that's why. I was wondering, like, when I looked at that, I was like,
Popularity contest.
because I checked those points
I love
before
Leclerc, but
watching
yeah.
the race, and
Yeah.
I was like, did Leclerc win the race or something? I was like, what?
I didn't know he
What
got so many
happened?
points for choosing who got driver of the day.
Yeah, yeah. You do get bonus points if you have the driver that got driver of the day.
Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. Same with fastest lap. There's extra
Yep.
points if you have the driver that got the fastest lap.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, if you manage to have the driver that got fastest lap and driver of the day.
That never happens, though, because Max doesn't get driver of the day.
Yeah, he almost never gets driver of the day.
But yeah, and we've had all 1-2 finishes so far this season.
Really? I didn't
Yes.
even notice that.
Red Bull, Ferrari, Red Bull.
Wow.
And it is pretty crazy to see Red Bull, Ferrari as the 1-2s.
Yeah.
I still can't get over that after all these years of watching Mercedes 1-2 and then blah, 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 blah. It's so wild. And sometimes to see Red Bull, Mercedes, McLaren.
Yeah.
Or sorry, Red Bull, Ferrari, McLaren.
Yeah, to think that Mercedes isn't even in the picture. In fact,
If
at
somebody
this
would have
point,
told me that,
at this point, it's Red
5
Bull,
years ago.
Ferrari, McLaren, Aston Martin,
Yes.
Mercedes as well. Like,
somebody would have told me that like 5 years ago, I would have had a heart attack or something.
if somebody told me that Mercedes isn't even close to being the top Mercedes team on the grid,
The top Mercedes powered team.
yeah,
Yeah.
because like
Just
when
McLaren is also a Mercedes powered team.
it's,
Oh man.
and like when you look on the official like F1 website, when they list them, they'll always list the name of the team and then second the name of the powertrain.
Yes.
So McLaren is McLaren Mercedes.
Yeah,
Aston Martin
Aston
is
Martin.
Aston Martin Mercedes.
Yeah.
Officially. So like to be
Yeah.
like Mercedes is the only one really dropping the ball, other than like I guess Williams way
is
down the
Mercedes
pack.
powered,
But
but Williams is showing up in Monza this year. I'm telling you.
hope so.
And Mexico City.
In the past they've only been good on really
Monza.
high speed tracks, but maybe this year they'll be good on other tracks.
Maybe.
Maybe. I mean, you
Maybe.
did predict that they're gonna win 2 drivers or 2 constructors championships
In 2027.
in 20
They're
by,
just gonna nail these new regulations.
by
They're
2020.
gonna be a full works team, even though they keep track of their F1 parts in an Excel spreadsheet.
Hey, you got to do what you
Which
got to
was
do.
crazy. That was a news thing that came out before Australia.
Maybe they have people
wait,
on their team that
was
are
Australia.
very good with Excel.
Maybe they're Excel world champions.
Yeah. Yeah, there is
Two-time Excel world champions.
there is an Excel championship.
Yep.
There is competitions held for how well people can do things
Against
on
spreadsheet.
Excel. It's crazy. That is wild.
It is insane.
Why would you watch that? Why does anybody spectate that?
It's just all accountants and actuaries.
It can't be fun to watch.
Like I
Like,
said,
okay,
it's all
what? Do you
accountants
see
and
somebody do like a
actuaries.
calculation and you're just sitting there and you're like, oh my goodness, I never expected somebody to do a
Oh, they
calculation like
formatted that
that.
so fast.
He used Control F to find the formula he needed.
Dude, they'd make our little layperson head spin. That's why we're here and they're there.
Oh man, well you wanted to be an actuary at one point.
Back when I thought it was all statistics and cool guy stuff. Then I found out it was all statistics and nerd stuff. I was hoping you wouldn't bring that up.
I'll never forget telling that to my dad, and
I didn't
he's
know
just
what it
like,
was.
he's just like, no one wants to be an actuary. Those guys are the most boring people I've ever met.
I didn't know what it was. I thought that they just knew everything.
I mean, they do, but they're boring.
But I thought there was something cool about that. Like I thought I'd be able to meet somebody and profile them.
Oh no, you want to be like
But now I just meet them and
like a
profile them
forensic
anyways.
psychologist or something
Yeah.
like that.
Now I'm just like, this guy's an idiot.
This guy's
And then a couple weeks later, I'm like chopping it up with him. I'm like, yeah, it's completely wrong.
yeah.
He was actually just really insecure. Now he's come out of his shell, and I'm the idiot.
I didn't know what I was talking about.
Good thing you can't read my mind. But yeah, that was Japan 2024.
Yeah.
Not a ton to talk about, to be honest. But Leclerc had such a fantastic race. I was on a high as a little Ferrari boy, as I am.
Yeah, I
Leclerc
was
boy, as I am.
very excited to see Leclerc's performance. I was excited to see another good qualifying from Aston Martin, at least for Alonso. It was fun to watch. And who knows what China will have in store. I
don't
think
know.
it could be a fun race.
Something to watch too is like with this season that Sainz is putting on. What on earth is going to happen with that man next year?
He is now going to go to a new team that he's going to create himself, actually. The Sainz family is going to launch a bid to create the Sainz Motor Racing team in Formula One.
But you know what I mean? Like
Carlos Sainz Sr. is the team principal.
No options that are ever really presented. Am I like, yeah. Because he's in the second top team right now.
Yeah.
And I think Red Bull is salivating over him, but I don't know if they're willing to fight between their two drivers again. I don't know if they're willing to do that. They did that with Vettel and Weber. They did it with Ricciardo and Verstappen, and both times they got burned.
I don't think Sainz is...
I don't think he's going to Red Bull.
I don't think he's going to Red Bull, first of all. I doubt he's going back into the Red Bull family, because he was there previously.
He's going Racing Bulls.
He's going... That'd be sad.
That'd be brutal.
Anywhere
that you would go that's not...
I also don't think not Ricardo.
You don't think Perez?
I don't think Sainz would actually take the fight to Max. He's never beaten Leclerc.
I mean, he's beating him.
Not
in points.
Not in points.
But he missed a race.
Yeah, but still.
I'm a Leclerc fan, and I'm like, if he could have raced in Jeddah, that would have been
all the pole positions from last year, except for like one, were either Verstappen or Leclerc. Yes, he's been a little out of form at the start of this season, but I have a feeling we'll see Leclerc bring that back. Leclerc has beaten him every single year they've been together in points at Ferrari.
I know.
And I don't think Leclerc is necessarily, in terms of consistency, on the level of Verstappen. So do I think Sainz would beat Verstappen at Red Bull? No. I do not think he would even come close.
I think he has the talent to take it to him.
I don't think it would even be close.
I think he has the talent to take it to him.
I don't think it would even be close.
Would he be able to do it week in, week out? Probably not.
I'll say this. I think Sainz is a very consistent driver. I think he would be better than Perez. I'll give him...
Do you think
I think he'd 100% be better than Perez. Yes.
So you're saying it makes perfect sense for Red Bull to take him because he's not going to take it to Max, and he'll be more consistent.
I still don't think he'll go there because he won't go back to Red Bull. But I don't think Sainz would be a bad option. I don't think he would take it to Max, though. I don't think he's taking the fight to Max. I think Sainz should still either go to Audi.
I don't think so.
I think he should go to Audi. I think he should. I think that's a smart move because if they choose to build the team
Dude,
around
I'm sorry.
him,
They have to fire half that team right now.
they
And
do.
then
But
get and then get a half an F1 team up to speed on F1.
you know what Audi's got a ton of experience in? Other
Money.
motor racing series.
Money.
You know what they have a ton of? Money. Because they're Volkswagen
Money.
Group. You know what they can
Money.
do what no other team can? Build entirely new facilities
I think
just for this new thing.
Mr. Krabs should be an F1. We need a SpongeBob SquarePants team.
But seriously,
We need
think about it.
SpongeBob SquarePants livery.
Oh, that would be kind of fun.
Anna Williams?
A Nickelodeon livery?
No.
What?
Not a Nickelodeon
Oh,
livery.
I mean, that's who owns SpongeBob.
Don't care.
That's who owns
Don't
SpongeBob.
put that smut on Williams' name. Nope.
The Nickelodeon foot?
No, dude.
Logo,
No.
man.
The blotch that
The
looks like
blotch.
Epstein's Island.
The blotch.
That's anyways.
But, like, seriously, though, Sainz going to Audi, think about it for just a second, Noah. Think about it.
It would take
No,
him
no,
4
shut up,
years
shut
to
up.
spin up the team,
Noah.
and he's a good
No,
driver
Noah,
right
Noah,
now.
shut up. Shut up. If he goes to Audi, he has the opportunity to have a team built entirely around him, a car tailored to him, because he is the lead driver clearly of that team if he goes there. It would all center around him. He's a good development driver. He's a smart driver. They could potentially accelerate very quickly. It's just better.
I'm sorry. I just looked up Carlos Sainz's age, and it says 61, and I was like, what? Whoops.
So,
29.
Carlos Sainz's dad is also a famous racing driver, and he is 61 years
61.
old. And Carlos Sainz's dad is also Carlos Sainz.
Yes, Carlos Sainz Jr. is the F1 driver.
Yes, yeah. So that's the confusion there. I think Audi is a good option. I don't know if he'll go there. I think Audi's a good option.
I think Aston Martin.
I agree. If Lance is actually leaving the team, it's a fantastic option.
I genuinely think Lance should go to World Endurance Championship and just clean up in the hypercar section.
I think he would do really well.
In the Valkyrie. Like, that would be
He did.
so swift.
Lance has done well in other racing series in the past.
Yes. And when F1 drivers go, like...
He did exceptionally well in other racing series in the
sad
past.
to, like, say it, and it's not to, like, put down other drivers, but it's easy to forget that, like, the level of competition in F1. Like, the worst, barring Nikita Mazepin.
Oh, he was terrible.
He was really bad. Yeah. Horrible racecraft and horrible racetrack etiquette. But if you put some of the worst F1 drivers on the current grid into a more, what's the word I'm looking for?
Even playing
field? A more
field?
even playing field that, like, is World Endurance Championship, is GT3 racing.
Yeah.
Or IndyCar. If you put them in these more spec, that's it. In these more spec racing series, they destroy. It's amazing what they can do.
They've done very well.
Brendan Hartley could not make it out of, and, like, he was such a good driver, but in F1 he just had, like, a middling career at Toro also, and I think he had maybe 2 years behind the wheel, and then they got rid of him.
Yep.
Won, like, 4 Le Mans with Toyota.
Yeah. Yeah. Giovinazzi.
Yep.
Came in
won Le
Mans.
Won Le Mans last year with Ferrari.
Yep.
And Giovinazzi was not considered a good F1 driver.
No, he was not. He wasn't considered the worst. He was
horrible, but I don't know how many points he ever got, but
yeah.
he was kind of a meme driver, unfortunately, but, like, yeah, really good in the Endurance Championship, because you put these guys, like, the other thing too with Endurance Championship, and this is not a slight against it, I love endurance racing, but you have a team of drivers.
Yep.
Because it's like, 6, 8, 12, 24 hours of driving. You can't do it all yourself. Whereas with F1, like, you're the only driver. It makes it so hard.
Yeah.
And then you got to think too, these guys are showing up every 2 weeks or every month to put in the performance of their life. It's so hard.
Yeah.
Whereas with the World Endurance Championship, you have 8 to 10 races.
Yep.
You have more time to test the car. You have more time. You can take more time. There's less media, so I don't look at Lance Stroll moving to WEC or World Endurance Championship as moving down at all.
I don't either.
He could win Le Mans.
I would be thrilled to see Lance
He
do
could
something
win.
like
He could
that.
win Daytona. These are very good, prestigious
He
races.
could team up with his old friend Sebastian Vettel again
Yep.
and drive for Porsche, and they could win the endurance
He's not
championship.
going to drive for Porsche if his dad owns Aston Martin.
Okay, well, that's who Vettel's driving for, so
True.
But
But yeah, that could be. I think that'd be a fantastic move, and
Yeah.
I think Sainz to Aston Martin makes sense if they're still charging ahead like they are, which I can't see Aston Martin not charging ahead as they are. They've been aggressive, and they're continuing to be very aggressive on
They've
development.
put in the investment. They're becoming a full works team.
Yep.
They
Partnering with Honda for an engine supplier, which if it's the level of Honda that we got in Red Bull
then
in
fantastic.
2020, 2021,
Wow.
22, 23, 24,
Wow.
Aston Martin's going to be a force to be reckoned with.
Absolutely. And they have
And
fully built new facilities now.
I would love to see that green on the top step.
Oh, it would be wild. It'd be wild. That would be a fantastic pairing. All Spanish team would be a lot of fun for Spanish fans. They're both very smart drivers. They're both very like quick on their feet during the race, like coming up with strategy and like doing what they need to do. And both pretty funny as well. I'm gonna give them credit. Sainz is a funny guy.
They got
like
humor.
Him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like them.
Yeah.
So.
And Alonso is like a riot. I love that guy.
But yeah, I don't want to see him go to Audi. I don't want to see him waste any of his career.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think Audi is necessarily a bad option for him, but like I appreciate what you're saying as well. Also, Audi at the moment, if they keep the current driver lineup, Joe and Bottas aren't bad. Bottas is a really experienced driver.
Yeah, they just need to deliver the car and a team that can put wheels back on the car in under 5 seconds.
Yeah, but like Joe's been pretty good considering where he came from and everything.
Yeah.
He's actually been a reasonably solid driver.
Yeah.
Consistently trading blows with Bottas.
Again, and the car is just never.
But yeah, the car is not good enough. So what can you do? That's not their fault.
No.
They've been putting in reasonably good drives.
Yeah.
But you can't do anything if the car is not
But you know what I'm saying? Where like, who's making the car? It's the staff.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I get what you're saying. They might need to actually fire literally everybody.
Just
obviously,
complete reshuffle.
They've already been trying to put some staff changes in place. It's only the first year with.
They also have a weird structure.
They're moving more towards something like a Mercedes structure, though.
I hope
because with the hire of what was his name? They took somebody from McLaren last year who was like a high up figure, and he's supposed to be like in a CEO position, more similar to Horner and Toto Wolff.
Yeah, I can't remember his name right now.
Yeah, I'm drawing a blank on it. But anyways, he's only just taken over the team as well, so they're going through some changes. Same with Williams is going through changes at the moment with restructuring under James Vowles. So we'll see. These teams might actually start to get their stuff together pretty soon. But at the moment, they're struggling for sure. We're seeing a lot of difficulty on the part of teams like Sauber and Williams with these changes.
Yeah.
But yeah. So I don't know. I think Audi could be good. I think we'll have to wait and see. Obviously, they've decided to take entire ownership of the team at this point.
Yeah.
Which we talked about in an earlier episode. But
probably just to make sure that things get set up and executed correctly.
Yep. Yeah. But
we'll have to wait for 2026, which is going to come way faster than I realize.
Yeah, it is.
I'm excited. The only thing that I'm not very excited for is these engine changes that I keep hearing about, which none of them have been positive.
They don't sound great.
Heavily hybrid.
Yeah. Which was funny when WRC, the rally championship, is going the opposite direction and actually getting rid of the hybrid systems.
Yes, they had a hybrid system for 1 year.
Yeah. No, yeah, I guess it was only last year, wasn't it?
And they've axed it. They've gone back to just petrol engines.
Yeah.
Because and I mean right now they like F1 has a hybrid system, but I think when they're going to be implementing these hybrid systems like they're talking about, they're going to realize that it complicates a lot of things. Now, WRC is different because they don't quite have the value that F1 does to throw their weight around. But I think with Rally, it was mostly safety.
Yeah, it was mostly safety, and then because like the lithium batteries being used and everything with
Yeah.
the crashes in rally are just dangerous. There's a lot more punctures and stuff in
Yes.
rally as well.
Yeah.
So just riskier. But the only like major change I know with the new regulations is that they're getting rid of one of the hybrid components though that was apparently very complicated to make.
I think they already
There's
did
I thought it's still there.
the
The
MGUH.
the MGUH and MGUK are both still there right now.
The K is staying because
The K is staying,
that's
yes.
basically brake.
Yes. It's just kinetic recovery,
Yeah.
which is braking, recharging the battery. But the MGUH I think is still in existence. They didn't eliminate it yet. That's
Gotcha.
supposed to it's on its way out for the new regulations.
Gotcha.
It's my understanding of it. So
Yes, and I shouldn't talk much on it because I don't completely understand, but from what I understand, like right now, the way that the hybrid system works, which I think is a nice way for it to work,
Yep.
is that it's a power additive, and then it never it never like harvests any power from the engine. Never
yeah.
really pulls any power from the engine to make battery power. It just uses thermal,
Yeah. I
offshoots
think it
that.
does use a certain amount of power because when they're in recovery mode, they can't hit the same speeds.
But I
So
maybe
possibly,
that
I don't know.
means
I
yeah,
don't
but
know.
that could just mean that they're in an active recovery
And they're
map.
not
But
using the
they can have
hybrid
a very
power. Yeah.
they can have a very
Yeah.
stable map
Yeah. True.
that so
Yeah.
anyways, but what I've heard and read is that this is going to be it's almost like the engine is only really there to charge the battery.
Mm,
It's almost like the engine's there for 30% of the power and the
gotcha.
battery is there for 70%. I don't know how I feel about that.
I didn't realize it was getting increased that much. I thought it was going to be more like 40 battery and 60 engine still.
Like I heard, yeah, like Verstappen described it as like a lot,
Yeah, because he's
and he
not
didn't
happy
like it.
about it, right?
He did
He
not
sounds
like it
quite
at all.
upset about the
Yeah.
changes. Yeah. Mm,
So we'll see what happens.
yeah.
I still want to, and I mean, they've mentioned it before. Just get these synthetic fuels going, which are coming next year
Yep.
in
Yep.
2025.
They're supposed to be coming next
Get
year.
these synthetic fuels going. Put back in V8 engines. I'm not going to sit here and say V10s. I want V10s, but I know V10s are too loud.
Yeah, V8's fine.
But V8s would be gorgeous again. That'd be
Yeah.
magnificent.
Yeah, that'd be fun. That'd be really fun.
Put back in V8s. If you still want to do the hybrid thing, that's fine. But what about turbo V8s?
Turbo V8s would be cool.
Oh,
That'd be
anyways, now
cool.
we're just dreaming stuff up.
Yeah, it's
But
getting
that was
silly
Japan.
out here.
It is getting wild.
Silly.
Turbo V8s.
Don't be
That's
ridiculous.
impossible.
This guy will be talking about the supercharged V8s.
Supercharged
Oh my
V8s.
goodness.
Have a big blower coming out of
Just
We should just make them drive in a straight line and have big V8s in them.
turn them into drag cars.
Dragsters. Just dragsters, yeah.
Yeah.
Then next we'll make them go in a circle.
Whoa. It's revolutionary.
But yeah, this has been Japan.
Yep.
It wasn't the most fun race, but of course there were still reasons to watch. I'm
Yeah.
excited for China. I think we might see something change up at China.
I agree.
I've said that a couple of times now in the Drain Guys history, but I think we might see a little change up going on.
You think we might see a bit of a step forward from Ferrari?
I think it's just going to be more of an even playing field
Really?
because no 2022 and later cars have stepped foot on this track.
Yep.
So
True.
it'll be fun to see, just like with Las Vegas, how everybody kind of found their footing.
Yep.
It'll be like that, where
Yeah,
people are finding their footing again.
Las Vegas was a great race.
The pavement could be trash in China.
Could be trash. We don't know.
No
don't
idea.
know.
So it'll be exciting to see. But
Yep.
anyways, we're the Drain Guys. I'm Noah,
I'm David.
and this has been the
Japan.
2024 Japan episode.
Yep. See ya.